Morning, everybody. We are certainly delighted and has been stated earlier, extremely honored and privileged to be a part of this celebration. The only reason why I wanted to make certain that the mic was addressed is because of Facebook, y'all. One of the first things they'll say is, wait a minute, they're not doing it right. And so it's so important, as we were reminded earlier, folks are watching. And we want to set a positive example because to the extent that our walk might help someone else walk rightly, that we believe that it's our obligation and our responsibility. And so I'm just delighted to be here and to be a part of this celebration. So much has been said, so many good ways. I'll be candid, y'all. I went over to my wife and I said, sweetheart, what do you say when folks have already said most of what you want to say? And she didn't tell me this, but in her mind she was saying, good, because you were going to be too long anyway. So I don't mind telling folks, and perhaps some of you have heard this already. I have a best friend in the South Carolina Senate, and make no bones about you, Kevin Johnson is my number one. Thomas McElveen is my number two. I love those brothers, and I have such respect and appreciation for who they are and whose they are. I couldn't be more proud and privileged to serve in the South Carolina Senate along with them. To my remarks, and I mean, it's always great to be in the company of Senator John Land, who most of us kind of grew up admiring. And then one of my favorite family court judges, Wright Turveyville. I got to tell a quick lawyer story, y'all. So, young in my practice, I was in court in front of Judge Turveyville and with another young lawyer. And I thought I was doing okay. Until Judge Turveyville invited me and the other lawyer to his chambers. And he said, wait a minute, what's wrong with y'all? You all are better lawyers than this. And I had no idea what he was talking about until after I left his chambers. What had happened, and Judge Turveyville, I don't know whether I've ever told you this or not, so I want to take this opportunity to say thank you. But what happened was, the parties that the other lawyer and I were representing hated each other. And so the lawyer and I had taken on their personalities to the appeared as if we hated each other. And that's not how you do things. And so just a young lesson from a judge that cared, because you didn't have to take me to your woodshed in your office, but you did, and I appreciate it. If y'all don't mind, give them a round of applause as a thank you from me. So years ago, I met Kevin Johnson as he was offering for the South Carolina House of Representatives. And we became seatmates. We became friends, we became brothers. And I was invited to speak at his church. And it was not a part of my speech. And so this is back in 2012, I believe. This is back in 2012 or 2011, probably 2011. And suddenly I looked at Kevin and felt him. And I said in my speech that I didn't think that the Lord was finished with him yet, that there was something else that he had for him to do. Unbeknownst to me at that time, Senator Land was contemplating retirement. And I believe looking for a successor. Because one of the things that's important for those of us who understand what it means to be in a place like the South Carolina Senate is you really got to have the right person with the right kind of heart. I didn't know that Senator Land was experiencing those kinds of thought processes, but ultimately Kevin landed in the Senate. And he has steadily risen in stature, because the more people get to know him and witness him, the greater their respect grows. Kevin's now the treasurer of our Senate Democratic Caucus. Not only do we respect him, we must trust him, y'all. Otherwise, we wouldn't turn over the checkbook to him. But he has walked uprightly before the South Carolina Senate. When I was planning what I would say, I decided that I would go to presidential quotes. And what's interesting about it all is all of the presidential quotes that I wanted to talk about have been mentioned already. Not with the name of the presidents, but with the essence of what they were talking about. That's confirmation for me in knowing that what is said here today is nothing but what I call truisms. Nothing but the truth, the whole truth, so help me. So it's a great day in Clarendon County, beautiful weather, and only fitting and proper that we would gather on this place, these hallowed grounds that Abraham Lincoln called the place of peace, the thing that separates our democracy from tyranny. And I'm proud that we've got two people in the South Carolina General Assembly that holds those truths to be self-evident, knowing that all man is, in fact, created equal. And so, when I saw the pictures of Kim in the house, I beamed with pride, not appreciating fully what my friend is experiencing as he witnessed what I witnessed. That's a treasure, Kevin. All fathers don't get the opportunity to experience that kind of moment. And so I'm glad that God blessed someone who I know with that. Clarendon, Barack Obama talked about this notion of being willing to walk the path. And he said that if you're willing to walk it more than once, you will find yourselves progressing. That's what Thomas McElveen talked about. John F. Kennedy, I'm going to talk about my presidents a little bit, y'all. John F. Kennedy talked about the Chinese, how it is that they use two brushes to stroke the word crisis. With the one brush, they mention danger. With the other brush, they mention opportunity. And so in a moment of crisis, one has to appreciate danger. But in addition to that, must look to opportunities. Whether you all realize it or not with your masks on, we are in the midst of a pandemic, in the midst of a crisis. And I saw Kevin Johnson being a part of a movement that simply said, look, y'all, we've been viewing broadband the wrong way. We've been viewing it as being a luxury and not a necessity. And so in the midst of crisis, there is danger that's associated with the pandemic, but there's an opportunity to bring broadband to rural South Carolina. Did y'all see Senator Johnson and others with the governor signing the legislation that creates the pathway to broadband all over South Carolina, in every nook and in every cranny? That's all about the notion of appreciating danger, but recognizing an opportunity and taking advantage of it. I'll tell y'all the other thing, and I've got 2 more preaching minutes. Help me somebody. Help me somebody. I've got 2 more preaching minutes. The other thing that the pandemic has made clear, for those of you who've been paying close attention, early on, you had people not being tested and not going to the hospital. Why? Many of them were worried about costs, no insurance. And so, in the midst of the danger, I believe that Kevin and Kim will realize that there is an opportunity to preach the word once more, that healthcare ought to be a right for all and not a privilege for the few. It's real, y'all. People are simply dying as a result of not getting health care. Opportunity in the midst of a crisis. And in closing, Franklin Roosevelt, I believe it was, says that there's nothing to fear except fear itself. One of those presidents said that. I got all my presidents all together, y'all, all packaged and wrapped up into one. Most of them. Most of them. Most of them. I'm gonna say that again, most of them. Not all the presidents, most of them, y'all. But I tell you what, I would love to package that other one and just dump him somewhere. Can I talk about that just for a moment? And then I'm gonna ease out of my way. I was gonna go in a different direction, but I trust Reverend Windley so much until I now believe that it's appropriate for me to go in this direction. These United States of America continues to be a treasure for the world. Not was. Continues to be a treasure for the world. I've never been bothered by the idea of that administration filing lawsuits. I know that our Constitution will stand all the tests of time. I know that this is the place to settle those kinds of disputes because it is, in fact, the place of peace. It can be a part of a peaceful transfer of power in these United States of America. I don't worry about the court systems and lawsuit filings, and I think those of you who paid any attention to the latest probably are aware that the Texas lawsuit that went before the Supreme Court is where it belongs, in denied status. But here's our problem. Our problem is when you look at what has happened with us. And I want to talk about this just for a second. I know that we've got kindred spirits in the body, but I just want to talk about it for a second. When you look at what has happened, Lawyers. Senator Land, you're doing fine. Doctors are doing fine. Other professionals are doing fine, even in the pandemic. Regular folks, though, the ones that are working with their hands in those meat packing plants, they're the ones that are suffering. And here's what happens when folks find themselves suffering: you're vulnerable. In more ways than one, you're vulnerable psychologically. Y'all got leaders that appreciate this, y'all. But they're vulnerable psychologically. What that means is that their thought process will allow alternative facts, conspiracy theories, and those kinds of things to penetrate their minds. Our task is to make clear that truth is truth. There are no alternative facts. I got to quote Bill Clinton as I close. It's in here, y'all. It's in here. Yeah, I was going to go through all of that. But Bill Clinton simply said, "We all do better when we work together. Our differences do matter, but our common humanity matters more." What I'm saying is that there will be a divide. There will be certain things that might appear to separate us. But I'm glad that Clarendon County has chosen two persons that will not only step with a historical footprint, they will step with the kinds of ideals, the kind of work ethic, the kind of care, and the kind of compassion that will allow them to not elevate themselves, but to elevate those who they care deeply about. Thank y'all for the opportunity to be a part of this incredible morning. Let us continue to celebrate each other and especially celebrate Team Johnson. Thank you and God bless.